we're at the end of round 15. So you can see, it's difficult to show you kind of in the entirety because the camera is small, but you can see the shaping that has happened. If I just encourage it a little bit up like that. The shaping that's happened on the bag because of the kind of pulling in of the stitches, missing out those 4 stitches in the middle. You can see how the shaping has happened. And I know in your bag, in real life, you'll have the whole thing kind of sat on you, and you will easily be able to see how that is taking shape there. I can't lay it flat anymore. It's starting to sort of take the shape of the bag, as you can see on the front of the picture of your lovely booklet. So we're very familiar with this these rows now. We know that we're just doing some trebles and missing 4 out and blah blah blah, all lovely, except it changes up a little bit at the end of round 15. And the first thing to note is that we aren't fastening off we aren't fastening off our yarn. We're still going to be continuing to use the same colour in round 16, so I'm still firmly attached here. We have not removed the yarn or fastened off. So in order to begin round 16, we still want to be in the same places that we've started our rounds previously, which is the corners. And all we're going to do is just slip stitch over to the corner space. So however many you need to do to get there, depending on where you've closed. I think you've probably only got 1, maybe 2 slip stitches. So you can see I'm now back in that corner space ready to start round 16. Round 16 starts in exactly the same way that we've been working, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that, which is the cluster, you know, the 2 treble, 2 chain, 2 treble. But as we're starting in a round off, we've had to start with those 3 chain, again just as absolutely as we've done all the way through, so shouldn't be any kind of surprises there. So 2 treble, 2 chain, 2 treble. Now, after this is done, this is where things get a little bit different, because we're starting to introduce those lovely front post treble stitches. Now, if you've not worked front post treble stitches before, please don't worry, they're not complicated. All that's different is the placement of your hook. So ordinarily, you would put your hook through a stitch like that to make a treble, or make any stitch really, wouldn't you? But with a front post treble, if we were going to work a front post treble around this stitch, we'd put our hook behind it like that. Okay, and what that's going to do is bring this stitch forward and give us a really nice texture. Now in true Blue Peter style, I've already done some to show you, because I want to show you what that texture looks like. So if I just turn the bag around a bit, I've done some already. Now you can see these slightly raised areas are where I've worked front post trebles, so that my hook has gone around the stitch below like that. I've made a treble and it's brought it forward. When I hold it like this, see if I can move it a little, you can see it's almost a ribbed effect really. You've got the normal stitches sitting back and the front post trebles coming forward slightly to give it that nice kind of ribbed effect. So that's what we're going for with this round. So if I go back round to my not worked part, I'll just show you how to do it. Okay, so we're going to prepare for a treble in the normal way. Don't forget we're working UK terminology here. So I'm going to have my yarn around my hook to start with. I'm going to try and get rid of that little tangle there. So yarn around the hook to start with, and instead of going into the stitch at the top, I'm going behind it. Okay, and working my treble in the normal way now. So yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's all there is to a front post treble. Now, the only thing that you may get in a little bit of a pickle with this row is the placement of the stitches. You're going to be alternating all the way along this row. You're going to do a front post treble, then a normal treble, then a front post treble, then a normal treble. So it's not too easy to, it's not too difficult to remember. It's just the placement. So I've made my front post treble there. You can see it's, sorry, let me show you with my hook. You can see the kind of the upright of that stitch looping around the stitch underneath, so that's fine. So now I need to do a regular treble into the top of a stitch in a normal way. So where I'm going to go next is in the next available stitch, so in there. Okay, I found that this isn't the bit that trips you up. It's really easy, this bit, because you just find the next stitch. So in I go, treble in the normal way. It's the next bit that tripped me up, and of course that tripped me up because I'm being tripped, so you don't have to. So now I have to do a front post treble. Now here is the important part. I've got a front post treble going around this stitch. My next stitch along has a regular treble in it, so I don't want to go around that one. And that's what I found myself doing a little bit along here, having to unpick a little, and that's okay. All you need to do is make sure your front post trebles are every other stitch, else you don't get that nice ribbed effect. You just get kind of the whole lot coming forward. So easy to check. You just go back and make sure, let's have a look at the ones I've done so far. You just need to make sure that every other stitch has a front post treble, not every stitch. And you can see it's fairly easy to tell because the normal stitches sit back a bit from it. So just keep an eye on your placement as you go along. That's the only, I don't think difficulty really is the word, but it's the only thing to keep an eye on. So I'm back on a regular treble now because I've done a front post treble. Easy to spot because it's the next one along. Okay, so regular treble. Now front post treble, I could really easily go straight down in there, and that's not the one to do because I've already got a front post treble here. So I skip that one and go in the next one. It's no problem at all if you have to kind of be really obvious about it and do what I've just done. Say it out loud, whatever. Once you get into a rhythm, it will become really obvious to you. So next one along is a regular treble. And don't worry if you have to go back and undo a bit. I've done it, it's fine, it's not too arduous, and you will soon sort of see the pattern. So missing this one that I've just put the regular treble in and going behind the next one along. Okay, and the other difference with this round, what we've been doing up till now in the last few rounds, as you know, is missing out these middle stitches to make this lovely kind of decorative hole or eyelet. I've got a knot in my yarn. We're not going to be doing that with this round. We're going to carry on the whole way across, just alternating our stitches as we're doing here, missing no stitches out. So when you get to those centre stitches, just carry on, even though you've got a bit of a gap between them, just carry on. It will work out fine, your pattern will look beautiful, nothing to worry about. So that's the only difference, just work every single stitch across. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like across that centre point. Right, so here is, here is a completed side. Again, it's really hard to show you all because of the camera being lovely and small and the project being lovely and big, but you can see clearly the texture going all the way down. And what I've done is I've moved the stitch marker, which has got all caught up there. I've moved it up to the center point, which is easy to see. So you can obviously see our center point there. And you can see the hole straight above is the centre point above. So just pop your stitch markers in there for your future rows, and that will be absolutely fine. But what you can see, as I said previously, you could just see that that is running all the way along there with absolutely nothing missed out in the middle. And it doesn't look out of place or wrong or weird or anything like that. What I think it actually looks like, because we're grouping 2 rows together just to make this what looks like one thicker row, doesn't it? I think that the front post trebles, when you make them, almost give the illusion, or they do give the illusion, of one very tall stitch, when in actual fact this wider band here is made up of 2 rows. And we are going to repeat that a little bit later on in the pattern. We're going to have another wider band. I don't know if we're going to have 2 more actually. Let me just have a little look. No, we've got one other wider band coming up, but not quite yet. What we're going to be going back to now on our next round is what we've been doing previously, which is to say putting trebles all the way, you know, our normal corner, putting trebles all the way along but missing out our 4 centre stitches. So that's why it is a good idea just to move that stitch marker up into the point above the gap from previously. Our stitch count has changed a tiny bit. I think it's gone up a little bit by possibly by 2, but I'm going to count that as I go along and tell you how many trebles you should be making either side of the missed out centre ones in our next video, so in the next round. So I'm going to be getting my orange ready for round 17 and I'll come back to you shortly. Right, here we are, round 17. Now round 17 is an orange round, so you can see that I've completed a side already to show you what that looks like. And what it looks like is it goes right back to what our previous rounds looked like before we did this wider kind of 2 round section here with the girly pink, with that special sort of textured front post treble thing. So going back to what we were working on previously, so nothing that is unfamiliar to you. So I'm not going to go and show you all of that because I don't think you need it. The only thing I wanted to make clear for you was the stitch count is slightly different. So we had been working previously with 20 trebles either side of our, sorry, between our corner and the gap. Here we've got 22 now because we've had a slight stitch increase from this last round. We've got 22 either side of our centre point. And if I show you here, you can see, whoops, let me just remove my hook, which is sort of a bit dragging. If I show you here, now it's fallen right off the table. Typical. You can see, if I sort of just about, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 missed stitches. So that's just put us right back in our, you know, our regular pattern, which is bringing up the sides so that they curve together. So that's all you need to do for round 17. Now rounds 18 and 19 are a repeat of what we've done here with the girly pink. Okay, so it's absolutely the same. There's nothing new that you will need to worry about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete round 17 with the orange. I'm going to do another 2 rows that make up this nice band here in red, and then we're going to be ready for handles. So I will see you at that point.